I'm going to be joined in a minute by Daniella Maison. Now, she's a London-based writer who's about to publish a book on the use of the N-word and the damage it might be causing. Now, she's an edgy, punch-packing writer, best known for her unforgiving tongue and her direct truth. Now, I am joined on the telephone by Daniella. Good evening, Daniella.
Good evening, Primrose.
And how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Welcome to the show. Now, I know you were listening to the recordings we had from members of the community regarding the use of the N-word, and you yourself, you've written a book about it, and you have very strong opinions about the word.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I do.
Now, Daniella, what do you feel about the N-word? What do you think about it?
Well, I feel that picking up on a comment that one of your listeners made about genetic memory is a really interesting point, because genetic memory exists, which is why when American police kill an unarmed black man, woman or child, there's a global response from the diaspora.
Right.
And the N-word is a word that has been used for hundreds of years to brutalize people. It was the reason the word was designed. So for me, the word is one that needs to be discontinued by ourselves and others.
Okay. Now, in today's society, do you think the use of it is really causing that much damage?
I think so. I think it causes a lot of psychological damage. I think that when we're discussing the N-word, we must be aware that this is the word that Emmett Till, the 14-year-old boy who was murdered by a group of racists in 1955, was brutally killed over because he refused to say that he was one. Stephen Lawrence heard the N-word before he was fatally stabbed in the street. It's the last word that tens of thousands of people heard before they were lynched. So it's not a word that can be made undamaging. It's already blood-soiled.
Okay, it's quite a brutal word, but so is history. If everything wrapped up is so brutal, can we not just introduce it to make it, to normalize it in a respect?
I agree that some words can be redefined and used differently. Some can even be redesigned completely. There's examples of that. However, the N-word is one of a handful of words that we call a true ethnophilism. That is a word that's so damaging that it never withers or wanes. Some words, almost in kinesis, carry and gain more weight than others. If it didn't, I would be free to say it now on the radio this evening without repercussion.
Right.
I think of it as a vampirical word, like a vampire. It gains more vigor the longer it lives, the longer it's perpetuated. It grows and thrives, never losing its original purpose.
Right. Now, what about people who use it, black people who use it quite casually? Sometimes you walk past a group of young people and you hear them referring to each other as "What's up, my you-know-who?" It is in popular music, especially by black artists. What do you think of that? What do you have to say about that?
I view that as, it's made a lot of rappers a lot of money, but it tends to be used in association with gangster rap. So it is used by a medium that generally perpetuates the demise of black people. Gangster rap promotes the rape, oppression and objectification of women, murdering other black men in gangs, carrying guns and knives. It's a very violent and aggressive medium. And so it shouldn't really come as any surprise that its favourite word was also one that was favoured by the Ku Klux Klan.
Right. Now, let us go back to the question of rappers and in particular black popular artists using it quite a lot. And you say it's made a lot of money for them. What message is that sending to young black children and young white children growing up? Because it isn't just black children who buy this kind of music, it's everybody. What is the message there? And how do we dispel that myth?
I think the message there is one of self-hatred, exactly like gang violence and shooting each other is. Words generate impressions. They paint mental images. They deliver notions and create expectations. They build psychological associations. They both command and convey our thought processes. But a word can never be seen as unpowerful. As a writer, I believe in the power of words, the formation of a cluster of letters and the orchestration of a band of words. It's of colossal import. So to me, when you look at the 26 letters and the 52 sounds that comprise the English alphabet, on individual merit, each letter may be relatively hollow, but in varying combinations, they each hold the power to impel human beings to great deeds and abominable deeds. And the N word is one of those words that has power, no matter how much we try to take power away from it.
Right. Now, as you talk about spelling and the alphabet and the use of the word, we've got people who've stated that, well, you can use it if you spell it a particular way. If you spell it this way, then it's wrong. If you put ER at the end, then it's very wrong. And in particular used by a white person. But if you put A on the end and it's used by a black person, it's deemed a community word. What do you have to say about that bit?
Well, that's an issue of phonetics. When you speak a word, the meaning is formed on the sounds that compose it. So the audio pattern, the meaning and the reason behind the word can't be altered by spelling it incorrectly. So you can change the appearance of a word, but the root of the word remains. In America, they spell grey with an A. In England, we spell it with an E. But it's still the same word with the same meaning.
Yeah. Do you think young people and children who use this word, do you think they understand the power of the word, the history of the word, and the significance of the word itself?
I don't think they do. But I think that they look up to their role models are the rappers that are bestowing the word on them constantly, and not just that word, but also a series of behaviourisms that will quickly land them in jail if they try to follow. So I think that their education is coming from a group of people who don't have their best interests at heart, and actually whose priority is to sell more records. If the N-word had no power, I can wager that it wouldn't make it to the drawing board for singles, albums and tour titles. So when they put to people the popular argument that the word is meaningless, it demonstrates their failure to accurately assess the context and the relativity of the N-word. And in doing so, they miseducate younger generations.
Absolutely. Right. Now, Daniella, you've written a book about it because you feel so strongly about it. Can you just, it's going to be released in the spring. Can you give us a little tidbit of that book?
Yes, I can. I'll read you a bit from the first chapter, which is: the N-word was stitched, sewn and tailored as a means of controlling the masses of African people forced to toil in the slave states for hundreds of years. Slave owners and colonialist masterminds developed a plethora of means to control their newly acquired property, the principal method being that of divide and rule. Language was fundamental to the psychological tactics employed to create subservience. Physical containment was created via psychological control, and language was brandished as the powerful tool that it has always been. Members of the same tribe were placed on different plantations to prevent communication between them, lest a mutiny should form, and inhumane terminologies like the N-word were introduced with the sole purpose of psychologically battering an entire people until they bought into the belief that they were not worthy of respectful names, titles, or respect.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, the book, Daniella, it's coming out in the spring.
Yes,
that it's coming out in the spring. I know how you feel about the N-word, but what really inspired you to write about it so strongly?
I was teaching at the time, and I noticed just how common a practice it had become for young people to define themselves and others with the word. And it disturbed me because this is a group of children who were 8 and 9 years old. And it got me thinking about, if this word is so meaningless, then why is there just this massive preponderance of using the word everywhere? It must carry some weight. And so I started to think about it. I'd already written an online series about gangster rap and its portrayal of women, and it just grew from there.
Right. It's been very interesting talking to you this evening, Daniella, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing from you again in the next couple of months. Thank you so much for your time and the information that you have shared with us.
Thank you, Primrose. It's been a pleasure and a privilege.
Oh, thank you.